Kagurabachi's enchanted blades are the topic of various discussions across the community, but an aspect I've seen become the focal point of hot debates and misunderstandings is the true realms of the enchanted blades. In this video, we're going to try to clarify what is and isn't a blade's true realm, and try to understand the narrative role that they play. Before we begin, I want to say that this video is the second in a 3-part series. You do not need to watch part 1, which is how Kagurabachi dehumanizes its heroes, to understand this video at all. But both videos are foundational for the third video. Let's begin with a proper understanding of the process behind making an enchanted blade. Kagurabachi's Chapter 83 gave us much needed insight into how Detensky is made. Kunishige, through his mastery over observation and years of being a blacksmith, is able to stabilize Detensky and form it into a katana. As said in Chapter 83, when Kunishige forged the enchanted blades, he didn't craft their powers specifically, only their general intended purpose: to kill or to protect. The original 6 swords were intended as instruments of war to defeat the enemy. Additionally, it's unclear when in the process this happens, but Kunishige creates the eternal contracts. Across the original 6 blades, they are all bound to Magatsumi. The eternal contracts, as you are all aware, take away a bearer's sorcery in exchange for the exclusive use of the respective enchanted blade. When the bearer dies, the blade becomes usable again. The clause is that should Magatsumi's bearer die, the other current bearers will die as well. N10 is presumably independent with its eternal contract, as it makes no sense to bind it to Magatsumi given why it was made and when it was made. The abilities of the blades were presumably manifested by their bearers, with them all starting off with 3 abilities. Of course, Magatsumi has more, but that was due to its true realm. The true realm is an unforeseen element to the creation of the blades and the topic of the video. Before we discuss the true realm, I want to discuss what it isn't. Let's begin with true intent. True intent is a concept introduced to the series by Shiba in Chapter 83 and is mentioned when talking about Chihiro redeeming Cloud Gouger. Just 3 pages before this, we get the panel I talked about before, where Shiba talks about the creation of the enchanted blades. The blades were made with a specific purpose in mind, which is their true intent. We understand that Kunishige's mindset when it came to making katana was that they must be used to root out evil and protect the weak. While the blades were weapons of war, they were used for this purpose until the end of the war. This also means that how Chihiro wielded the remains of Cloud Gouger is what Shiba was referring to, the philosophy that he must root out evil to protect the weak. This has little to do with the true realm, and I just wanted to make sure we weren't getting the two confused. These are separate concepts, and while they are slightly related, they are very much not the same thing. Now we can get into the true realm. So starting off with its etymology, Honryo consists of 2 characters. The first, Hon, has several meanings, but the ones that make the most sense are genuine and real and similar interpretations. The second character, Ryo, has the meaning of territory. However, this can be interpreted in different ways, as the character also appears in Jujutsu Kaisen, where Ryoiki means domain. So saying that Ryo means true realm, or realm, is a valid interpretation. Therefore, Viz has not done a bad job of translating this phrase. Good job, Viz! So, moving on to the true realm itself, it is described in Chapter 14 as a power beyond theory. Chapter 76 elaborates and says that the theoretical limits of the blade can be infinitely transformed by the bearer. Chapter 72 says that the true realm of an enchanted blade conforms to its master. Sojo in Chapter 17 says that Cloud Gouger harmonized with his convictions to slaughter. What can we take from this before we go into specific examples? Here's what we've got. 1. The enchanted blades have theoretical limits to their base 3 abilities. 2. The true realm is a state that transcends those theoretical limits. 3. The true realm can infinitely change a blade's abilities to fit its bearer's needs. And 4. This state is reached by, in Sojo's words, harmonizing with the blade. So, that's what we've got for an understanding of the true realm based off of what is directly fed to us in the text. I want to put out a warning because now we are going to go into specific examples and we're going to go into subtext. If this is an issue for you and you are prone to dismiss these types of conversations as headcanon, please go watch my power scaling videos. So, let's look at what the true realm is narratively. It is being true to oneself, or in other words, embracing who you are. This is what I believe. and we're going to look at every example of the true realm to see if this belief is supported at all. And I will not be going over Magatsumi at all, because we have very little information on the Sword Saint, and we can't look at how he was when he used Kadoku. So, with that said, let's start off with Chihiro Rokuhira. Chihiro's our True Realm poster boy, and since he shows his True Realm first in the series, he gets to flex his evolution. First two powers Chihiro awakens in his True Realm are Kuro Shred and Nishiki Support. These abilities use the same amount of energy, but act differently, as Kuro Shred will coat Enten in a spirit energy chainsaw, and Nishiki Support will support Chihiro's movements instead of augmenting them. These powers were drawn out of a need for uses of Enten that put less strain on the body, and were used to save Char from Sojo's henchmen. In other words, Chihiro's desire to destroy evildoers and protect the weak. As a naturally kind-hearted person, Chihiro's True Realm responds to his desire to see Char safe. So far, it seems like I'm right. Let's see if I stay right. Chihiro's next True Realm evolutions are 3x Nishiki to defeat Sojo, who is without question an evildoer and attempts to stain Kunoshige's legacy. Then, Chihiro uses Cloud Gouger and redeems it. He awakens Mei Shred while it's at the verge of death, and channels Mei's lightning into his Wakizashi. Both of these abilities are brought about by Chihiro's desire to see his father's death avenged and the Rakuzaichi ended. Chihiro's desire for revenge has become ingrained in him, and he will not stop pursuing it. I believe that despite not being a naturally hateful person, his desire for revenge is something that is just as authentically Chihiro as his kindness for the innocent. The end of the Rakuzaichi is also an outcome that follows the root out evil and protect the weak mantra of Kunoshige. So, another point in my corner. Into the Swordbearer's assassination arc. Here, we have Chihiro's Kuro domain, which he uses against Hidehiko and later on Samura. This is something that Chihiro comes up with to protect hostages, so my point stays proven. Finally, Chihiro evolves Akka to automatically trigger upon contact with either Enten or the Kuro goldfish. Nishiki is evolved to be able to reinforce specific body parts. These are both evolutions Chihiro comes up with to counter Hidehiko and Samura respectively. Defeating Hidehiko, a Hishaku, once again aligns with both Kunoshige's ideology and his desire for revenge. Chihiro now has also found himself a third mission, the destruction of the Enchanted Blades, and seeing Hidehiko would directly contribute to all three of these goals. The destruction of the Enchanted Blades being his father's true objective makes it something that he will put his life on the line to achieve, like upholding his ideology. All these manifestations of the True Realm so far line up with my interpretation of being true to yourself. Moving on to Gendichi Sojo. His two True Realm showings were awakening Mei Cloak to slaughter the anti-Cloud Gouger squad, and doubling his spirit energy being used for Mei Cloak, also with the intention to slaughter. Sojo is a simple man who operates with the idea that the Enchanted Blades are weapons of massacre and should only be used for this purpose. As he says in Chapter 17, the blade harmonized with those convictions to produce his desired result. His true self is a killer, and his true realm gives him exactly what he wants, by analyzing and harmonizing with his true self. Hidehiko's only use of True Realm so far is the destructive application of play. In Chapter 77, Hidehiko's desperation for connection consumes him to the point that he begins to earnestly care about something for the first time in his life. This desperation leads to Kumayuri's True Realm manifesting by inverting the function of play. Play's effectiveness works based on how much Hidehiko cares, but since Hidehiko can't care about objects, he instead destroys the Bloodshed Hotel with play. Hidehiko's a childlike character who has been unable to form connections his entire life. He seeks this desperately out from Chihiro, who he believes is like him. This desperation is core to who he is, as his only way to express it is through violence, his first language. This also fits my criteria, as Hidehiko is being true to himself. His true self is a child desperate to connect in the only way he knows how, violence. So far, looking pretty good. I don't see any potential issues with this analysis. As we see, our three examples so far all align with the idea that your true realm is a narrative reward for being true to yourself. But let's look at our last known example so far, Seiichi Samura. He's evolved Suzaku in his true realm to heal others and even buildings, and learn to revive people with it. This is all stemming from his kind-hearted nature and his desire to distance himself from others, which he considers an act of love. Samura hated seeing blood be spilled to the point that he would go so far as blinding himself, so a man of that level of kindness would obviously transform the phoenix flames of Suzaku into the flames of universal mercy. I think it's without question that Samura's evolution of Suzaku in the True Realm stems from him being true to himself. And so, I think it's fair to say that my interpretation of the True Realm has at least a little bit of credence to it. It's a state in which the limits and applications of the Enchanted Blade's abilities are redefined with an infinite ceiling, accessible by the harmonization of an enchanted blade with the convictions of the bearer. And narratively, it acts as a reward for a character being true to who they are. Thank you all so much for staying with me through this installment in my thematic analysis of the Enchanted Blades. Please stay tuned for part 3 of this mini-series, where I talk once again about our favorite bearer and blade combo, Chihiro and Enten. If you subscribe, you'll get notified when it comes out. Just saying, you hit the subscribe button, and you might find out, if you hit the bell as well, you might find out when that video drops. Just saying. If you subscribe, please subscribe. You'll know. As always, I am Bingle, or Artispheria, and please, have yourselves a damn good one.